Well, good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Roseanne Hanson, and I'm going to be presenting the third in our series of Around the World in 80 Trees and Tree-like Plants. We're going to Africa. If you haven't seen the first two, we started with North America, then we went down to South America, and now we've curved up and we're going to start at the bottom of Africa and work to the top. Okay, well, I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to show you how I did the previous Around the World in 80 Trees using what I call an accordion style pullout. You can see how that worked. I will create a page with the overview map of the location, the continent, and then I use these accordions.
Roseanne?
Yeah.
The display looks funny here. It seems like I see the background field arts around the world under your
correct. Yeah, that's the way it's going to be for the presentation. You'll see why in a minute.
Okay.
You're going to be able to you'll see why how I have it set up in a moment.
Okay.
It's called a split screen.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Thanks. Okay, let me get rid of that. So this is folded 3 folds, and it's 1 species per section. That's just a way I do it, and you can do it on your pages or what have you. So doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do now is get started with the presentation, and we're going to go because I have I have 15 minutes now, less than 15 minutes per species, and it's a big continent. Africa was really fun. So if you're new, thank you, welcome. I'm Roseanne Hanson. I run my own Exploring Overland Field Arts Institute. My husband and I run a business called Exploring Overland, which is an adventure travel business, and the field arts go really great with that. And I have 2 books out so far in this genre, although my husband and I have been writing books for over 35 years in natural history. Nature Journaling for a Wildlife is my beginner's guide to getting into nature journaling, and then Master of Field Arts is literally like your master's degree in becoming a lifelong naturalist and diving deeper into field arts and journaling. All right, we are going to Africa in our Around the World in 80 Trees and Tree-like Plants. So you'll want to find a outline map of Africa. I will put this on the website too, so we can all put these into our notebooks, so you can identify where generally the species that I'm talking about occur. It's kind of not the whole range of the plant, but where the type that I'm talking about is. So we are going to start in Southern Africa with this tree. And this is a great photo because it really shows the scale of this tree. Remember, elephants are huge. So it's probably about a 13-foot tall, 12 or 13-foot tall elephant. So I would barely come up to its top of its elbow leg there. And so that's a really big tree. And it is called the marula tree. And elephants love this tree. And there's some great, but unfortunately, interesting myths especially on safaris. Safari guides love to spread this rumor, but it is called the marula, Sclerocarya berea, and its name means a hard nut. And we're going to see that in a minute. And it's indigenous to the Miombo woodlands, which are common in Southern Africa, East Africa, and the Sahel and Sudan. And they get really tall, 60 feet, 18 meters. They are dioecious, meaning they have separate male and female flowers. And the myth is that elephants got drunk on the fermented fruit. And it's a widely popular drink, an alcoholic drink called Amarula, which is kind of like Bailey's Irish cream. And but elephants don't get drunk on the fermented fruit, but they do love to eat the fruit and the bark and the branches. So they'll go up and shake the tree and rip it up. And it's thought that their predation might actually help keep this tree from taking over whole ecosystems. And of course, the San people of the southern part of Africa used this fruit extensively, including oil from the fruit, and it's used to make a beer. And here's what the fruits look like, and the lovely, lovely flowers. So here's what I'm going to be doing here, is showing you, let's see. We get this set back up here. I have to be able to draw and have you see it. So give me just a second. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, that should work. Now I number my accordion so that I get them right, but because I'm doing them in order. So we are doing species number 1 here. And this is going to slide this over just for the minute here. There. And let me know if I need to adjust that for any of you. And autofocus a little better. Come on. My camera's sleepy this morning. Focus. There we go. Okay. This is Marula. And probably what I'll do, if you've seen my other ones, is I'm going to do a quick sketch of the tree to give the shape. So this is Sclerocarya and Berea. Okay, that's the genus and species. And then what I like to do is I'm going to show the tree kind of general shape, and then scale. Don't forget to do scale. So I'm probably going to want to tackle putting in that elephant shape, right? And remember, we are going to be going fairly quickly. So I am looking at, we're practicing going really, really fast and capturing the essence of our trees here. This has some nice trunks, and it's sort of it doesn't have huge leaves. So I'll be putting the leaves in with just little dots of color, I think. See how scrabbly the paper is here. And this tree, notice it doesn't have a lot of that, the Y branching that you see frequently in trees. It looks like each branch, each trunk part goes up and just keeps going. I don't see a lot of individual branching, which is interesting. I've been meaning to kind of research branching in trees. Probably there's not a lot of foliage down low because of elephant predation. And there's some like little nubbleys, and give this some texture. Oop. If I run off the page or my hand is obscuring it, let me know. And we've got, I'm moving a bar here. Hopefully this is not obscuring, it's just me. One of the Zoom bars was right in my way. So I'm going to.
It looks good.
Okay, thanks, Valerie. I think that was Valerie. The elephant's head is pointed just right in here, and I'm just going to go for shapes here, very lightly for the time being. Got this ear here, comes down, and then we've got the shape of its body. It's like really stretching up here. Look at its got its legs way out. It's really, really stretching. And I'm looking at the shapes. Here's a rectangle. Here's a kind of a oval. Just so I can get this elephant shape in here. Got second foot there. Look at how scritchy scratchy this paper is. I'm not pressing very hard. And what it's doing is using its tusks to shake and bonk this tree really hard. Look at its trunk is kind of hanging down there. I better not spend too much more time here because I've got a lot of trees to go through. And what I'm going to do is fill in the details with some color. And I'm going to start with some color, but we also want to put some details here. So this is a tall tree. So it's so 18 meters and up to 60 feet tall. And it's called its name means a hard nut. And maybe I'll zoom in here and show the marula nut. Oh, excuse me, fruit. Because that'll be a fun. It's a pretty color. And there's some blemishes and things. I think I'm going to jump in and start some color on that. If you are doing color, remember you might want to wake up your colors. If you're doing watercolor, I like to spray mine a little bit with water to get them to literally wake up. See if you can get a little more info here. I'm going to do a quick wash. Let's see. I'm gonna try to fix the exposure so you see a little there. You see a little bit more of the pen work. I'm going to put a really light gonna use some burnt sienna and lay down these lovely colors that are both our elephant and our tree have this kind of base color, probably because of the sunset color, but what I'm doing is just getting a light wash down. And that tree has some really nice color. This is really thick paper. It's very thirsty. And then I'll be able to, I had some, an ink blob in there. And now I want to, looking for my, boy, I want another blotter here. What I want to do is get some very light green. So I'm going to use my, what I call my dirty yellow. Get that fruit, dirty yellow. See, this paper the ink doesn't dry very fast on it. So you can see I'm getting some ink smudgies, but that's okay. It just adds to it. And now if I want to, I'm running out of time, but I want to quickly, I want to get some leaf green color here, and I want it to be pretty dark. I'm not going to do a lot. I want it to be pretty soupy. So I'm just using tip of the brush to approximate the foliage. This is a really sparse foliage tree. Again, I think it might be because of elephant predation. But this will get me started. And then I'm going to let this dry. I will come back later and add darks to give definition and details and bark to the tree, and probably a bit more wash, get the yellow grass and make that fruit pop. But we do need to keep moving. As you know, this is a great exercise in how to quickly capture details. And I want to put a few more details about the species there. But in the meantime, we need to get moving. We are going to keep moving to, where are we going next? If you can guess. We're not going too much farther north. We are going to head up into the deserts, though, of Southern Africa, Namibia in particular. This is one of my favorite tree-like plants in Namibia. It's beautiful. It is called the quiver tree, and it is a tree-form succulent and native to Southern Africa. Its species name is Aloedendron dichotomum, and it is all over the deserts of Namibia and parts of far western Botswana and Southern Africa or South Africa. And what's really interesting about it, the reason it's called a quiver tree, is it's widely used by the San people, the indigenous people of that region, the Bushmen, we used to call them, that the tubular item in that photo is a quiver. The quiver is what arrows are carried in. And of course, the hunters of the San people carried poison arrows, and that quiver is what they kept their arrows in to keep them safe while they were traveling and hunting. So this is going to be a fun one to draw. And look at that really beautiful bark. I love that too. And so I'll probably want to represent some of that and probably the quiver as well. So let's let's get started on drawing the quiver tree, which is super cool. Let's see. Get this fixed a little for you. That's better. So this is species number 2. Try to remember to hold my pen so you can see what I'm doing. This is the quiver tree, and I'm trying to remember not to touch these after I write it because it's just not drying very fast. The other thing is, of course, it's really humid here now. Aloedendron. Uh-oh, ran out of room. Dichotomum. Okay. So I think I'll put the tree on this side. Oh, do I have enough room? I like to try to alternate, but because I had to drop down here, I think I'm going to end up putting our quiver tree. One of the things I do like to do, I'll demonstrate here, we'll do it as well, is to show the scale. So you put a line, which was a little wobbly. So this is like 60 feet, and this is my scale meter. There was something under that, so it went a little wobbly. So I'm going to do the same thing for my quiver tree here. But let's get that shape in. We have a curved top, which I'm going to sort of mark that with little dots to remind me how to make sure I get the scale right. Okay, and then I can start looking at some of these lovely lines. Really pretty, like swoopy shapes. And these start branching quite a bit. And try to get some of that really pretty curvaceousness, if you will. And then we'll a little bit lighter, we'll go in. And I'm not doing this exactly. I don't have time, if I was in the field, I'm doing a really quick sketch. What I want to do is show you what it looks like. I can't take hours and hours to do an exact copy. This isn't a scientific illustration. So you can see we're getting there. And then how to represent all these wonderful leaf-like. Now, these are not really leaves, they're part of the succulent structure. Don't want to try to do every single one, because then it would literally just be a bit of a mess. So notice the mark making is to approximate the shapes. But I don't want to get what I call into the weeds of too much detail, or we'll end up just with a bit of, like I said, a bit of a mess. So okay. And this comes down, makes a lovely curve here. And this rocky ground. And look at the textures in here. Trying to get that shape. There's some really cool kind of holes where it's probably been damaged by some sort of predation. Really great texture that I'm dragging my pen over to get this cool texture, but I'm not pressing really hard. So it's fairly, doesn't pop out hugely. Occasionally I'll press hard to get slightly darker color. So I like that. Very cool. And then this is tree-form succulent. And probably from like a drawing standpoint, I'm going to, before I do much else, I want to get that quiver in, because this is an important tree to the people, and it's part of they've been part of this ecology for the millennia, many millennia. Gosh, how long have they been there? Tens and tens of thousands of years. So this is a really important species. And for use for the people there. It looks like there's some bindings and then a strap. I'm going to put the strap at the bottom. Leather strap. Wow. Wonderful. So this is a quiver of 4 arrows. And I'll put used by the San people. And that's about, let's see, the tree. Let's remember to do our scale. We'll put our scale here. Oops, sorry. Trying to do a straighter line. These are around 8 meters, 8 to, well, let's put 8 to 10 feet tall. I don't think 8 meters is right. I think that's should be more like 3.5 meters, sorry, to 10 feet. And this quiver is, it's not very big. It's maybe 18 inches. Okay, and it's native to Southern Africa. Yeah, and so let's get some color in here. One of the interesting things I've noticed about my African plants is that many of the trees our palette is going to be very olivey green and lots of browns. So I'm going to take some of this green. I'm actually going to add a little of the brown, because I want to olive that up a little. The plant is both green and then has dried bits that are turn brown, so I added that. Let's get that a little bit wetter.
Roseanne,
Uh-oh, somebody's got two devices going maybe. Oops,
maybe.
again. Try again.
I'll just.
Oh, write it in the chat and then someone can speak it for you. Got some weird feedback.
One person was saying that her husband used to live in Africa and he has one of those quivers and it's actually 30 inches long.
Oh my goodness, that's a big one. The arrows are only about, I have a number of the arrows and they're only about 8 inches long. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. Gonna throw in, I don't like really all one color green. I'm throwing in some yellow to brighten that up just a little, but I'm going to wait because that's going to fill in way too fast and then it's going to look too like way too much foliage, or it's not really foliage, it's part of the.
Okay, I think I deleted one of the Zoom meetings. There were two up. My question is, the quivers themselves, are they put together, or are at the top of that tree, each one of those pointy things a quiver?
Good question. So can you guys see my mouse if I move it? Yeah. So the quiver, which is this, is a section of this here. It's hollow. And then the arrows are put into that. These are just succulent parts, like an aloe. The pointy parts are just aloe. So this is what the quiver's made from here. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, but the actual arrow is made of something
Oh,
else.
the arrow I think is made from, it's made from a different wood. Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Thank you.
Yeah, they need to be a bit stronger. The quiver tree wood, if you will, is a little more spongy.
Do you think each leaf is very similar to to aloe that grows here?
Very much so. It's textured or spongy, it's a succulent, so definitely has that soft springy thing going on. Well, I want to let this dry before I do any more detail, but that gets me going. Oh, I should probably grab some of this pale tan for my quiver. And then once that's dry, I'll come back, and add a little shadow. I don't think I can do it to make it look more rounded. I don't think I can do that now without, let's see what happens. Oh, if I can throw a little dark in there. That worked. And the leather strap, will do that slightly different color. But I'll leave that dry for now so I don't completely blork it up, right? So quiver tree, really cool plants. There's loads of really interesting succulents and plants like this I'll be going in, I'll darken up some of these bits in my second pass to underneath so that we get more of a sense of the depth of that tree or tree-like plant. Okay, where are we going next? Because that was really cool. Take a sip here. We are going to cross over the continent a little bit toward Eastern Africa. And a very iconic tree. Anyone guess which one this is? Going to be a fair number of elephants in this. This is one of my favorite African trees.
Baobab.
Yay, this is the baobab tree. Love these trees, and they are so fascinating. And so one cool thing is in the hibiscus family, the Malvaceae. That is super cool. It is native to the African continent and southern Arabian Peninsula, of course, part of where it split. They're very tall, 80 feet, 25 meters or so tall, and old. They live a very, very long time. I'm going to turn on my little camera back and forth. I hate to not be able to see you guys, or you to see me. So I'm not just a talking disembodied voice. They are dry season deciduous, which means they will drop their leaves during the dry seasons. And here's another great word we want to definitely capture. It is known as a pachycole, meaning thick trunk. And of course, pachyderm is thick skin. So elephants are pachyderms. This is a pachycole. And it's the trunks are buttressed and hollow or spongy in the inside, where they store a tremendous amount of water in the trunks and branches. So when it rains during the rainy season, this is showing, this photo is more of the dry season. The grass is yellow, but it's just starting to get leaves. During the rainy season, it sucks up as much water as it can. Then it is a very important plant, especially for species like elephants and baboons who eat their fruits, which look like that, which are really big. That's like 8, 9 inches, sometimes 10 inches tall. Oh, yeah, tall and about 6 inches wide. They disperse the seeds. Then elephants also on their, as they move around following wet and dry areas, foraging, they will, you can see on that one, they strip into the trunks to chew the bark and insides to get the moisture during the dry season. And this tree has an amazing capacity to reheal itself. Once the elephants move on and the rainy season comes again, it will regrow tissue. However, climate change is slowing that process down. There's not enough rain anymore and not enough opportunity for it to heal itself. So baobabs are starting to fall over and die from predation of the elephant. You can see just how big they are too. That's a big elephant. So climate change is definitely going to have an effect on our dear baobabs. So let's draw a baobab shape, which is such a fun one. Let's see. We have to turn that. And I need a little more room here. So you can see. There. Okay, so this is our third species. And baobab, yay. And that is Adansonia. Let me turn off this so we have more space. Adansonia digitata.
Did you say how wide the trunks can be?
I did not say, but you know, many tens of feet wide. So that elephant standing there is, you know, probably 12, 13 feet tall. And, you know, if you sort of extrapolate, that could be 15, 20-foot diameter trunk or more. They can get huge, and sometimes big holes appear in them, and they'll grow up and they'll be like these hollows. And people and animals would use these hollows as refuges, you know, places to sleep or get out of the elements of storms and things like that. So let's get that. I'm going to have to remember to get my scale right. So the crown is a good half. It's kind of oblong, and it's a good, you know, half the proportion of the. Let's get that trunk. Do I get that proportions right? Just putting some little scritchies here. No, it's a lot wider than that. It's much wider than we thought. So in it, you've got a kind of, this one has a split here. And then at that point, it just gets really, it goes narrow really fast. There's a little foreshortening as this comes up. I'm not going to like do super detail on the branches, but it has some branching. Remember, we're doing quick sketches here, quick captures, and there's a branchy leaf mass there. I don't want to like completely draw that. That's why I'm still being really sketchy with my pen, and it's really shaggy on the edges where the elephants have been digging it. Look at this massive. I'm as I get these branches, I want to make sure it's lots of broken lines, because there's a lot of foliage that comes through. So I'm going to add that with my watercolor, but I want to get that shape, which it's going to go off the paper a little bit here, but I think I'm getting the general shape here. These are just sort of reminding me these are foliage masses. But here I'm going to keep focusing on this cool trunk. We're going to have a lot of foliage in there. And just for scale. So this is grassy bits. And for scale, we've got our alley here. Just going on shapes here. This elephant's probably taking a snooze. Because this is just going to be a silhouette. Didn't quite get that shape the way I wanted it, so we'll keep working on that. But I could really get into the weeds on that, but that gives us a little bit of scale. I'll work on his shape a little better. Maybe we'll give it a tusk. Okay, I'm gonna stop on that. And let's add our details. Okay, let's do scale over here. This guy's gonna be about 80 feet tall, say. And we want to capture some details. This is in the hibiscus family. Oh, and that fruit we might want to do too. So much to squeeze in, isn't there? Stores water.
Roseanne, how large is the fruit?
About those are about 8-9 inches tall and about 6 inches wide.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's dispersed by elephants and baboons. And then if we had the inclination, we could put our it's sort of a, let's get the fruits are kind of almost ovals, but not quite. Kind of lumpy ovals. Notice I'm skipping my pen over just to get the shape right. And the fruit has like a velvet on it. It's really very soft and fuzzy. And a really hard woody stem. And put the scale maybe to give us some and I'll come in with the watercolor and give that some more interest. Yeah, that's pretty good. Our little alley. And then what else can we add? Well, I better get right to the watercolor because let's see, I'm on my third. I'm running a little late, so I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit. So let's throw in just some washes on color here. We get some brown going. Real pale here. just to, just to get a wash going on the baobab branches and trunk.
Are the leaves soft like hibiscus leaves?
I'm trying to remember. That's a really good question. They are definitely leafy. They're not, it's not like a succulent. So I would say yes. I'm trying to remember. We'll have to look that up. Just want to get some of the wood color in there. And the
On the top of the tree or the outline of the top of the tree, there are white flowers. Do they look like the hibiscus?
yes,
flowers?
they do. They're big, white, gorgeous flowers. Good spotting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah. It must be quite a beautiful tree.
They are really cool trees.
Wow, thank you.
I just looked up the leaves and they look kind of like avocado leaves. Maybe a little thinner.
Yeah, that so kind of oval.
Yes.
Yep, I think that sounds just about right. So these are just preliminary, what I call placeholder colors. And then we can come back and add more detail on our second pass. But this is brighter green new growth. And so I'm going to want to throw some just washy color in here. It's just getting its leaves for the season and flowering. At this scale, I can't really represent those flowers. You could do, if you wanted to, you could do a blow up and do your beautiful flowers if you wanted, a kind of a zoom in. I want to keep that feeling of that crown. I should have made this smaller. It blew out of my page a little, so that's a good lesson in I should have scaled it down. I got this part a little too big here, and I think it was going well here, and then I blew this out a little bit here, so my scale got a little off. So I would come in with some darks in a bit, and and start enhancing in here. But for now, I'm going to have to move on. So if I start going too much on this, we'll just run out of time. We can darken our Ellie in so it's just a silhouette, and fix that. Same with get some darks in here. In fact, right now would be a good time to start dropping those in because it's still damp. And then I'm going to stop though.
Are the trees reproducing? What do the baby ones look like? I mean, this is.
Oh, good question. I don't know if I've ever seen a baby baobab. Oh, wow. Great question. Yes, they are reproducing, but not at the numbers they used to because of drought. That's been a difficult for these trees to survive drought. Good question.
So those little trees off to the left of the elephant wouldn't be young ones. Those
They are not. In fact, we we're going to meet this tree next, I think. I believe so. Yes, we are. Good spotting, because this is a super cool species of Eastern Africa. One of my very favorite trees, period. Because it is just everywhere in East Africa, and you tend to sort of like, and Southern Africa, or parts of Southern. Oops.
May I ask a question quickly,
Sure.
Roseanne?
Yeah.
The last slide where you have the Africa, I'm trying to identify where the tree is that went by very fast. That
Yeah.
are we up there now? And this is tree 4.
This is tree 4. Here it is here.
Okay. And is the first one on the very bottom?
Yes, so I'm going up from the bottom. So the first one, and this will all be on the website. We'll all
okay.
have this. You don't have to get it all down now, but we had our marula, quiver tree, baobab. Now, and again, these species, their ranges occur elsewhere. These are just my type trees here, where we're standing to look at it, as you would. So now we're in more also East Africa, and it's called the whistling thorn, and Vachellia drepanalobium, and it is it's in the acacia that it's a Fabaceae. The Fabaceae family has got a lot of the bean trees. It's native to East Africa, so it doesn't get down into the south, but it is super cool, and that it has a really close relationship with ants, and it's a mutualistic relationship. Relationship is called, it is a myrmecophyte, meaning it is got a very close mutualistic relationship with ants. MYRME being Myrmeco being one of the Latin names for ants. In this case, the genus is Crematogaster, and so the ants inhabit the hollow thorn base. They have paired thorns, which is super, they're huge. These are probably span 5 inches from tip to tip, 5 to 6 inches across. And this is maybe an inch diameter. And the ants create these holes, and they live in the thorn base. And the ants harvest, the trees provide nectar, especially for the ants. So it's got a sweet little spot that the ants go for their little sugar fix. And in return, the ants attack anything that tries to eat or harm this tree. So it's super cool. And it's called whistling thorn because when the wind blows over, and these grow in big sections where there's hundreds of them all together, it makes a whistly sound, whether it's through the spines or a combination of the spines and holes, they're not quite sure, but it's definitely a feature of Eastern Africa. So I love this plant. It's often overlooked, the more sexy baobabs and what have you, but I want to draw the ants on this wonderful whistling thorn. Let's see. Let's get our species name in here. So this is called the whistling thorn. And it's a long name. It is Vachellia drepanalobium. I just like to say that word too. A dear friend of ours has a camp in Tanzania called Whistling Thorn Camp, It's really a beautiful camp. An all Maasai owned camp. So I want to do, I know I should do a representation of the tree, and I'm just gonna do it. They're not very big, mostly they up to 20 feet tall, but I think mostly I see them, 10 feet or so. I'm just gonna do like a super scraggly. It's just got, and it's the thorns make it. So what I'm doing here is just a tiny little, like a representation. Sometimes I do that. I should have done that with the baobab to get that shape too. That would have been fun too. But here I want to show, even from afar, those white thorns give these shrubs, trees, this like super spiny aspect. I want to say, let's say that this one maybe like 10 feet. They're not huge. But the salient cool feature is the thorn. So there's a bulb, the base, and then big thorns come out.
Do the ants make the holes or are they already there?
The ants make the holes into the, that's a good question, into the hollow thorn base. So good question.
They almost
The
look
ants
like
make
they're
the
natural.
bulb.
Oh, one person at a time, say that again.
It looks like the ants make the ball as well, because then there's thorns growing out of the branch that don't have that big ball. So it's almost like a hollow gall.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't believe that ants have any architectural besides making the hole. In galls, they think it might be a hormone or something that causes the plant to create the round part. But I don't think that's the case in this. But we can make sure.
Are there more than 2 thorns off of the balls? And they look like they're attached kind of like a pine cone off of the branch or something.
So they are, it's always paired thorns. And this is simply an enlarged thorn base. So it is attached to the branch very solidly.
The base is the round part.
Yeah, it's part of the branch. You can see it right here, really a lot more. See how it grows right out of the.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
It appears that there's thorns on the branches too.
Yeah, it's got thorns all over, but these paired ones of the big developed balls is strictly the one where the thorns where the ants are. But there it is, seriously a thorny, prickly. You just don't want to mess with this plant. The Maasai will actually cut this whole bunches of this and build corrals temporary for their cattle at night, to put the cattle in to keep the lions away. So very important plant for everybody.
So when they cut these branches with all these thorns, does that act as barbed wire?
Yep, exactly. Natural barbed wire.
And the little leaves look kind of like the trees that we have here with the pine cones, the little tiny orange or green leaves there on the branches,
These here.
the green leaves.
Yeah, it's an acacia, it's, related to acacias or mesquites. So it has little leaflets, just like our acacias. It's got ball flowers. You can actually see, oops, so sorry. Come back. Right here, these are flower buds just starting to go. So like mimosa in my area, there's a species called Mimosa bioncifera that has little ball flowers just like that. I don't have time to put in all the leaves and everything right now. You can get, like I said, really, really like, way detailed here. But here's the structure of the leaves and then little leaflets. Like so. So you've got paired leaf stalks with little leaflets on there. So I'll just totally get into too much detail there. And I want to do one of the ants. All of the aspects on these ants are really, look at how the ants sit with their oh my gosh, I just forgot, what is the rear part called? Abdomen, there's the head, and anybody remember?
It's the abdomen. You got head,
Myrmecologist, is that the
head,
abdomen?
It's
head,
the
thorax,
abdomen.
abdomen.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm seeing this here. This is the head.
The thorax.
Well, that's the thorax and that's
Got
the,
it. And this is the
yeah.
abdomen. Look at how they hold them straight up.
hold them straight up.
Yeah. So drawing that would be, I don't know if I've got a place here I can represent that well. But I'm going to put a placeholder for a little ant. Black head. Whoa, and it's got a kind of like a bean-shaped head. I don't have a really good view of everything, but his little pointy thorax. Oh, they're so cute. Tiny little ant. Okay. Again, I'm running out of time, but they're so cute. And
The name of the ant again is the.
here we go. Let me get that back up. The genus is Chromatogaster. See, let me write that down. And the plants provide nectar, just like little droplets of nectar, just to attract, like to make these ants happy. So these have hollow thorn bases. And these are the kind of ant houses. And it provides nectaries, they're called, for ants. And ants protect the plant. Okay. I need to keep moving on. I'm not going to be able to add color to this, but it's pretty monochrome, except for the leaves. So we'll come back later in the dark, and I want to reserve the brighter white on the thorns. But one of my favorite plants. Oh, and that really bright red thorax too. I love the way they hold their little butts up. Very cute. Okay. But I'm running behind. If there's anything in the chat anyone wants to ask aloud, please do. I can't access it right now.
What was the scale of the fruit on the marula tree? How large is that fruit?
The marulas are only about 2 to 3 centimeters.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. We'll double check that, but I can't go back in the slideshow right now. But this will all be, you'll have access to the slideshow on the website too.
And do you know the length of the thorns?
Yeah, that whole span is 5 inches, 6 inches. So those are 2 to 3 inch thorns. Now we're going to the rainforests, and this is a really interesting species and a very important species, but very sadly, it's under extreme threat. This is called Afrormosia, also known as African teak, teak furniture. In Africa, it's also known as the queen of the forest. They're tall and elegant and gorgeous, and they have really beautiful bark that's spotted, if you will, and brown and red. So sometimes people call it the leopard tree. And it is in the bean family, Fabaceae, and they're huge, 150 feet tall, but they are highly endangered. Look at that map. The dark green tiny blob is all that's left of the major forest that used to span almost a quarter of the continent because of cutting for furniture and other uses. So very endangered tree. So I think what I want to capture with this tree is that elegant shape. They're just beautiful with the really tall trunks and very elegant branching, that primary branching where it goes up, branches into 2, then 2, then 2. Now I've come to I'm going to turn over my accordion to 5. This is why I number it so I don't get all crossways. And I'm going to have to go fast because I'm running behind. This is, I'm going to go ahead and call it African teak. If y'all can please make sure you're all muted. If someone's not muted, so just check your mute, please. Paracopsis elata. And also called AKA Afrormosia and highly endangered. And see that, look at the flower. You can see it's in the pea family. I said bean, I meant pea. Look at that, beautiful. Well, let's get the shape and that pale, beautiful bark. And I'm gonna go for kind of this one, which is more of a single trunk than that one, but you can still see the shape. Draw whichever one you rings your fancy. So we've got, it branches very elegantly. Doesn't look like it should even stand up, being so tall with these elegant trunks. And this is, you know, part of a rainforest. So there's a lot of foliage behind it, which I'm not going to draw, but, or I can represent it with when I do the paint. And I'm being fairly light here as I go up on with my pen so I can fill in with foliage. It's got these lovely little elegant clumps of foliage. And I'm going to do scale here. 150 feet. Whoa. And it is in the Fabaceae. Oh. A, C, I forgot an E. E, A, E. Ha, goodness. And also that, so we've got the lovely, we could do a kind of a pop out like a square. You could do a circle of that bark. And we can come in and do some lovely color, and we'll call it leopard bark. You could really do some really nice texture with, we'll try a dry brush, meaning I'm going to get, when I do the paint, I'm going to have a lot of paint and not very much water, so it skips across the page. And then we could do maybe a quick drawing of that wonderful little pea flower.
Is the bark something like manzanita?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it might be the way if it peels off kind of, but it does look like, yeah, it has that really pretty red. Getting okay. And then I can come in and add some lovely color on that. But time-wise, I'm going to need to move on because I'm only on 5 and we've got a ways to go and some really cool ones. So let's keep moving, and I'll have to come back and add color later, because that's got beautiful color. I'm going to throw in some of that pretty rusty color. Oh, that'll be fun. Let's see if I can keep moving, and then we can add color at the end, I hope. But where are we going now? We've got a lot of the continent left. Let's head over to the Western Africa. And here's a near and dear to our hearts species. Doesn't look like much there, right? Looks like just any other desert tree, but this is a really important, very cool tree for millennia. The gum arabic tree, Acacia senegal or Acacia sayal. 2 species are used, very similar species. Millennia, this species has been used. The gum has been prized for food or medicine. It's been used, still used in soft drinks to pharmaceuticals. The gum of the tree, so that's inside I believe it's part of the phloem. And in art, our watercolors are made with gum arabic for binding the pigment mixed together. And when it's mixed with water, that's the gum arabic that helps make it stick to your paper. So I am using gum arabic right now, which is super cool. It is native to the Sahel, which is the vast savanna that stretches across 6 countries of West Africa. It's the border between the Sahara and the tropical rainforests. But sadly, 80% of this forest of trees in the Sahel has been diminished in the last 60 years. So, and it was really the boundary that's holding the Sahara back from expanding into the Sahel and the tropics. We are still losing ground. The Sahara is expanding because of climate change, but there are some massive efforts in Africa right now to replant Acacia senegal and sayal and reestablish this as an important industry. So I think this is, here's what the gum looks like, with the sap. When you cut it, then this is harvested. So they harvest it by making wounds in the trees and harvesting this gum. And it's a huge industry and really important. And then of course they're very drought resistant. So they want to keep this tree going. So I think the main thing I want to do is I'm going to show that.
Is this the same gum that's used in chiclets?
I don't know about that. If that was the original gum in chewing gum, that I don't think so, but that would be worth checking out.
Okay,
South American chicle.
right.
Yeah, I think it was
Rubber
a rubber tree that was okay. So this is the gum arabic tree. This is more a binder. It would dissolve in your mouth, I think. We could try. I'm going to just choose Senegal. And so its shape, those of you who are in the American Southwest, it's very similar to a mesquite tree shape. So you've got, a main trunk, and this is kind of the dry season photo, but it'll have leaves very much like the whistling thorn. It's going to have small little lots of little leaflets on its leaf branches. So, but we're going to do a
Do you have a size for the tree?
Oh, did I forget that? I did. They anything from, let's say, 20 to 60 feet tall. depending on how much water they get their roots into. So you want to just do multi-branching. It's going to have a crown. From afar, it's going to look like a lot like mesquite trees. And the bark is real scraggly. I'm going super fast here. And then I want to do I'm just doing some just bare representation of foliage. It doesn't have a lot, and I'm going to go in with my watercolor and just barely dot that in green. And then the cool thing is that the gum itself, I can do a representation of a branchlet there. And let's do a really cool kind of the ball of sap.
Roseanne, I'm just curious if you took these pictures.
No, not this one. No, I haven't been to the Sahel. I would love to. We were set to go in 2016, but unfortunately, this area is also a hot spot for ISIS, and it's not a really safe place to go right now.
Where would you put this tree on your map of Africa, please?
West Africa, so all across the countries of West Africa. So the map will be on the website when we're done. I added a more gooey. It'll be fun to get kind of that bright orange sap ball. So this is source. So the Sahel is that strip of semi-desert between the Saharan desert and the rainforests. Okay. And loss of 80% of trees. And hopefully we can get those back. Very elegant trees. I just think they're quite beautiful. I mean, all acacias are quite beautiful. Okay, well, I'll come back because we're losing time. However, I'm going to put a wash of a bright orange. Mixing my orange with a very transparent almost also has like reddish tinge in it too. Using magenta and yellow to get a really bright. I even start with a bright yellow. Haha, I'm totally getting into the weeds on this because I think this is the fun part. If I lay down a wash of bright, very pale, bright yellow, then I can come back and enhance that, and it'll be a lot brighter than if I just colored it in, trying to color it in orange. So that's a little trick we'll come back to. But I've got 2 more trees to do before our end, so we better get going. Super cool plant. So those of you who are doing watercolors, you are using this plant right now. Okay, now we're heading way up north we're going to Egypt because this particular plant is amazing. Look at the size of that guy. If you've guessed fig, you are correct. And interestingly, this is called a sycamore fig, although I think I've seen it written sycamore too, but sycamore from the Ficus sycamorus is more correct. And so it is a huge tree, tall, 65 feet, but also spreading more than its height, wide. Look at that. And then it was probably the tree of life that the Egyptians referred to, and it's referred to in the Bible. It is native to Africa, south of the Sahel, plus up in Arabia, Egypt, and the Levant. So it gets around, but it really likes that dry, kind of semi-desert dry areas. And it provides food for a greater variety of animals than any other tree in Africa. That is so amazing, that fig. It flowers and fruits year round. And here's a super cool tidbit that I loved, is that it has a symbiotic relationship with the wasp Ceratossolum arabicus, sorry. The wasp lays its eggs in the fruit, and so the babies then develop within the fruit, but then it's also the pollinator. So it's a very important insect for this tree. So I would definitely want to draw that, and then those beautiful pink fruits. So let's jump on that. Okay, this is ficus. This is sycamore. Fig. And it is ficus. Oops, come back. Sycamorus.
Is it fair to say that these trees appear as solitary trees and never in a grove?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't know. We'll have to research that. Good question. I'm going to put truncated here. It's native to Africa, but also the Levant and Arabia. Egypt, of course, is part of Africa. And then symbiotic relationship. Hope I left myself plenty of room to draw. With Ceratossolum arabicus. Wasp. Okay. We're going to get that representation of that. Amazing. It's like a mushroom. It's like a fake tree.
It also looks like a bonsai.
Yeah, it does. If you didn't have the little, like, we want to draw the little people in there, right?
The trunk looks wide again as well, if that is truly 65 feet.
Yeah, then that trunk's got to be huge, right?
It looks like broccoli almost.
That's true. It looks like the head of a broccoli. So I want to just get my shape in here, and we're going to capture most of this with, watercolor. It's got form here. It's not topiary. So that's just a placeholder to remind me. And maybe we put here's a little, there's cattle grazing. Or you could draw the people. My pen is not even able to, barely. Huge. Okay. And then I love that. Okay, so we've got you could do your quickly here. Let's get some of these really pretty fruits. I'm going real quick here to capture these beautiful fruits. So I'll go in and enhance that. My watercolor. But my favorite thing is this beautiful little wasp. You could even, if you wanted, have fun and put a little tiny dot here. Ha. And blow up our little wasp. Let's draw this little guy. And this is a tiny little wasp. Oh, look at that. Look at that little head. And probably, like, I get into these details and I can't stop. It's like, I'm having too much fun. Okay. To come back. Because it'd be really fun to capture some of that iridescence. Which we can. That is fun. And so we would maybe write in here the relationship with the wasp lays its eggs. In fruit. And the wasp is the pollinator. So the way we would do the iridescence is we would go in and lay down like a phthalo blue, a really staining, really pretty bright blue like that, and then let it dry, and then maybe even drop in a teeny bit of, if you had phthalo green or something like that, excuse me, just a little bit, let it dry, and then paint a really lifting black over it. I mix my black from Indanthrone blue and burnt sienna because it's very lifting, and then you let that dry, and then you lift it off, revealing the bright colors underneath. It makes a really cool iridescence, and I'll put that on the website how to do that, because we need to head over to our last species here. But I might, just to get started here, I don't have phthalo blue within reach. I don't think, maybe I do. Hang on. I have like 1 minute. I do have phthalo blue within reach. I use a minimal palette, but I do have my sky palette available. And I do have phthalo. Phthalo is a staining blue. And I'm going to see how bright blue that is. Just going to fill in so that has time to dry. And then I can come back and make that iridescent. Okay. See, I couldn't resist. Onwards to our final species for the African continent. Whoa. Where are we going next? All right. We are heading all the way over to the Horn of Africa. And actually, it's an island called Socotra. This super amazing plant. This one will kind of blow your mind, just from an anthropological and a species standpoint. So beautiful, gorgeous form. It's looks like an umbrella. It is called the dragon's blood tree, Dracaena cinnabari. It is a very slow growing monocot, so similar to like palm trees or monocots. And it's only native to this island. It grows up to 30 feet tall and can be hundreds of years old. This species is a remnant of the Miocene Laurasian subtropical forest. And so that dates to the Gondwana land and the breakup of the continents. Amazing. It is in the family Asparagaceae, so asparagus family. And those are leaves. It does shed them every 3 years, but it's never leafless. It simply replaces them. And check this out. This is what the sap looks like. Ah, it bleeds like blood. The sap is brilliant red. So it's long been prized in medicinal remedies for all sorts of things, everything you can imagine, and highly prized to add color in varnish, and Stradivarius used it. So this is a super interesting species. It is vulnerable due to just development and agriculture on the island. So super interesting species. So obviously we want to capture that that red color and that shape. But let's get the dragon's blood. Woohoo! I thought that was like the coolest. So dragon's blood. Let's see, Dracaena. Cinnabari. Not to be confused with the color cinnabar, which is a mineral. So we can add the details, but let's get our sketch in of, whoa, I'm just gonna have to do like it's funny how it's similarly shaped to the fig. Oh, I forgot to put in the fig scale because, right, you need to. Always have that because the shape's going to be so similar with the Dracaena. Wow, it's just going to be, you want to get this mushroomy thing going here. Right, so and it, all the images I saw, they were growing on really rocky areas. Okay, so we're getting this network of, whew, this is going to be a challenge, getting this network of the branch system, the support system. See how it radiates out from each. I'm not going to try to do every one. But I want to get that sense of radiating. See, by minimizing my detail in a way is better because now I'm my eye, the shape is working. I can go in later and add like that dark areas to enhance the depth. But for now, I'm not going to go into the weeds too much on detail. Now, looks like there's leaf clumps. Again, don't try to do every single one. Pick out some key and then start diminishing your details toward the top. I want to keep this edge stronger though, right here. I want my mushroom edge. And I just have a few minutes left, so I'm going to leave this. I'll go in and enhance this with my watercolor and some more pen work to enhance that and give it more of that the look. But since I'm running out of time, you kind of get the gist of that. Don't forget our scale. Whoop, nope. This guy, what did we say? About 30 feet tall for maximum. And then, ooh, we gotta have show our So you probably want to like do a pop out arrow or something of the, we can do a cross section of the trunk. There's your bark. And these are, and then we'll want to add that bright red. We'll go in there with the watercolor, but oh, want to add our little bleedy part too. So super fun. Dragon's blood is native to Socotra. It's an island off the Horn of Africa, or at the bottom of Arabia. And it is prized medicinally. And blood red sap. So we would want to go in and just put some really great blood dripping down, bloody sap dripping down. Would be really fun to do. See if I can start it out. Need a really thick one. Really thick. It's almost white in the inside, isn't it?
The bark appears to look a lot like pine trees. Is that, or redwood trees? What do you think?
Yeah, very fissured bark. Definitely, I would say so. On the older trees. So you can see the sap is bleeding out between between the bark and the heart and the main wood, interestingly. Can you imagine, like, the first human who cut that how like this plant would have been seen as, having almost magical properties because it's bleeding the same blood we bleed, right? So interesting. Let that dry. Have fun with that. So, wow, this was I think I talked too much at the beginning. So let me switch back and see what kind of questions we have. I'll put all of this stuff on the website as always, though. So questions, let me look at the chat. I haven't even been able to access it. Wonderful. So, oh, thank you for the link, Anna Marie, for Queen of Trees. Which one was that? Which species?
That was for the sycamore fig.
Okay, yeah, it was, so they found parts of sycamore figs, the fruits and the wood in tombs in Egypt. It was very widely revered. Oh, great idea. So I would like to know which countries you have identified as to locations. So it's not by country, it's by region, and the map will be on the website, so you can see the map and where the general region is. It does not equate to the exact range of the species, but more or less, like I was saying, I'm pretending that's where I was standing when I was drawing this tree. So it's very loose. Great. Looks like other questions were handled and you talked to them verbally. Great resources. I will save the chat or the resources out of the chat for the website. So on the I should have the recording up. Any comments or thoughts on Africa? That was hard to pick all the crazy. There were so many wonderful trees.
This has been one of my favorite ones. I love them all, but very fascinating trees. Thank you, Roseanne.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, I'm going to put a link in the chat. If anyone would like to contribute to the tip jar for free programs, that helps. I also have an announcement. If those of you who are still on, I think I'm going to be putting together another field arts boot camp for November. I just finished up the Field Arts Wyoming boot camp. Valerie was there. Anyone else? I can't see everyone's name on here, but anyone else who was there? Yay, Valerie. I'm going to spotlight you for a minute. It was so successful and so popular, and I had such a waiting list that I think I'm going to offer one in northern New Mexico at Georgia O'Keeffe's Ghost Ranch.
Oh.
And so I'll be sending an email out because I need commitments right away. Ghost Ranch requires a big deposit, which is non-refundable. But oh my gosh, can you imagine doing field art sketching at at northern New Mexico, where Georgia O'Keeffe was? So cool. So look for that. I have a question. Is there an acacia species that is called umbrella tree in Kenya and Tanzania? Yes. So there is an acacia called Acacia tortilis, and it grows like it looks just like a big umbrella, and tortilis, and it's called the umbrella tree. So yes, good spotting. Beautiful, iconic. You know, when you draw the plains of Africa with elephants and everything, that's what you get is the umbrella acacias in Kenya and Tanzania.
Will you send us invites to the potential upcoming boot camp?
Yes, I'm going to get that out by email today or tomorrow. And yeah, I'm excited about that. It's a gorgeous location, and we would have our an entire giant house with 10 bedrooms, private. It's completely private. So we would have this amazing canyon of red rocks and everything all to ourselves. So
is that Casa del Sol? Are you talking about Casa del Sol?
Yes. Who's been there?
I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, who is this? I can't tell.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just there in May.
Fabulous.
With blooms and blossoms for a whole week. It was gorgeous.
Nice.
And I'm going, it's just beautiful.
Fabulous.
Beautiful.
I know, I just fell in love with it, and it's a perfect retreat spot.
It is. Oh, there's a labyrinth in the back. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that labyrinth.
There's several on the properties.
Oh man, that's a great place. Nice. Let us know.
Yeah, I will get that out to do that. So it'll be no more than, I think, 15 or 16 people. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming.
Roseanne, Excuse me, I just wanted to add in how awesome the boot camps are. It's a complete total immersion into nature journaling, and it's and there's no, you know, you don't have to do the dishes, you don't have to make the bed, none of the boring stuff. But you know, we know that Roseanne's a great instructor, and you have access to her like basically all day long when she's not doing the tutorials. So I can't recommend the boot camps enough. They're a fabulous gathering.
We had so much fun. It was, I miss it already.
One
So,
last question, Roseanne, for this
Sure.
series that we're doing today. What
Yeah.
region is next?
Sorry, say again?
What region is next?
Good question. We are just going to keep going north, and I'm going to do all of Europe. So that's going to be
Wow.
another challenge.
You have a date?
I think I will put that in the email, but you can tentatively mark August 27th for that. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. This one was fun. This one was harder. I'm going to have to finish a lot more color than I normally do. But the blood came out. So wonderful. Well, everyone have a great weekend. I will get the recording out by the end of the weekend. We'll see how it goes. I'm getting ready to fly to Alaska to join my husband. We bought a little 1938 cabin in Fairbanks and going to be spending the rest of the summer there. So the next boot camp will be from Alaska. The next 80 trees will be from Alaska.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone. All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you, Roseanne. It was great.
Thank you. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks for being co-host.
Thank
Great
you
to
so
know.
much.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.